Hello, I'm back again for Speaking Spurs, talking all things Tottenham. It's me, Kieran, giving you some thoughts on that transfer window, whether it's a success or not. We're going to focus heavily on Emerson Royal, seeing as he was the newest acquisition in the door and the one we haven't spoken about yet. So welcome to the channel, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, like and comment, and I will get back to you. So let's just jump straight into it. Emerson Royal. Sounds amazing. We've got a player in from Barcelona, okay? Bit of a different one, hasn't really played for Barcelona much in the terms of he's only just gone back over there. So we'll start with a little bit that I'm sure you've all heard about, his nickname. So Royal is not his surname at all. Lots of people have been talking about the nickname and only giving you a little bit of the gist of the story, that it's just about the Royal branded gelatin dessert in Brazil that apparently his uncle said he resembles something. So the resemblance there was actually he resembled the mascot of the company, so that's why he's called Royal. Not because he wobbles about like jelly, not because he was necessarily a rotund child, because he resembled the mascot. Okay, clear that one up. Not important, just wanted to clear it up. So, you know, for us, this is a bit of a transfer coup because he was a man that Arsenal have been linked with in the past. Arsenal wanted again. They didn't get him, so not only are they sitting bottom of the league and we're sitting top, we've taken a man that they wanted, which tells you in the transfer market, we are a club players would rather go to than Arsenal. Much as the same, we've struggled in this transfer window with players not wanting to come to us because of our European situation and where we're at the moment. So, yeah, he's a former Barcelona right back. He's come to us on a contract until 2026. He's going to wear the number 12 shirt. He essentially replaces Serge Aurier, who's gone out the door with his contract mutually terminated. He's been pushing for a move pretty much ever since he come to Spurs. And he was linked with Arsenal before he came to us anyway, Serge Aurier, to the point where he even had photos of him wearing Arsenal shirts. Obviously no allegiance either way, because foreign player trying to make a better life for himself, who can blame him? Did stuff at the club that was great, did stuff at the club that was not so great, which he'll probably be remembered more than the good things he did at the club. So yeah, this is essentially his replacement. What the club had to say was, we are delighted to announce the signing of Emerson Royal from Barcelona, subject to international clearance and a work permit. The right back is contracted until 2026 and will wear the number 12 shirt. He will travel to London from Spain later this week. So not really much from the club there other than they're happy. They put their little welcome video out when they signed him on social media platforms. So the deal is about 30 million euros, which equates to 25.73 million pounds. So that's, for a 22-year-old, that's still a substantial fee, considering we don't really know much about the player we're getting in terms of where he's really at. Although you would say a player that Barcelona wanted, the only reason they've given him up is because of their financial situation. So when we started talking to them, or Paratici did, they certainly didn't want to give him up, and they've had to because of their financial situation. He certainly didn't want to leave the club either, but this is the situation he finds himself in, and he's had to move on. Put a nice message out himself to the Barcelona fans, saying it was very much a dream of his to play for Barcelona. Hasn't managed to get a full season under, and that's because he moved from Atletico Mineiro in 2019. So the fee was split between Barcelona and Real Betis. So he does actually know one of our current players. He's played with Giovanni Lo Celso, so they'll know each other. There'll be a bit of a connection there. Plenty of people speak the same language, so he'll be able to communicate with Nuno. Obviously, Lucas will put his arm around him like he did with Vinicius when he came over. So yeah, he was split between Real Betis and Barcelona, and what then happened is he spent his 2.5 seasons with Real Betis, did very well in his last season under the managerial stewardship of Manuel Pellegrini, who we all know from his time in the Premier League with Manchester City, where is more of a success, and then obviously other clubs that we don't want to talk about. He helped them to reach the Europa League last season. Very much a main man for him, used a lot in the squad. So was looking a good player. Barcelona then exercised their right to bring him across with their part of the deal, and because of their financial situation, unfortunately they've had to let him go. I think they would have liked to have used him, but their loss is our gain at the end of the day. We've exploited that. International wise, he obviously is Brazilian. He's represented them at under 20 with 11 appearances, under 23s with 10, and he's got 4 caps with the full international squad. Hasn't been called up for this current squad. He's very much on the fringes of the Brazil squad. Not a main man yet. He's got a long way to go before he hits that. But look, he looks like an exciting player, and there will be a lot of you asking out there, why not Tomiyasu? Obviously, he's gone to Arsenal. We were heavily linked with Tomiyasu for a while. The deal was nearly over the line. Several times it was reported that way. We were just a couple million off. He obviously then went to the Olympics, had a minor injury. That would have held things up as well. But I think the reason Tomiyasu, we haven't gone for him, is purely because of Tanganga. And this, for me, is a great thing. Tanganga was somebody we were looking at putting out on loan. Lots of clubs interested, including Galatasaray, probably some other Premier League teams, certainly Championship teams. However, he got put in the squad over Aurier, who we knew was going to go. Doherty, very touch and go. I think they were willing to listen to offers for him. But he came into the squad and he'd done very well. Smashed it against Manchester City. Was very tenacious in the games we've had so far. Been consistent. So there was no point in bringing in Tomiyasu if we're not getting rid of Tanganga, certainly on loan. I don't think we'd ever let him go fully yet, because there's a lot of promise, big player in there. But Tanganga is not the most attack-minded, because obviously he comes from a centre-back background. His first thought is to defend before attack. Certainly we can see that he can attack, but what Emerson will offer us is more of that attacking role, which is exactly why we brought Doherty in. His role obviously changed under Mourinho because we brought in Reguilon, and Mourinho didn't want to attack from both sides. I think Nuno's quite happy to attack from both sides. So I would certainly say you will probably see Emerson and Reguilon in the same lineup, both getting forward, Muradin, with those centre-backs coming and doing their job, and then Højbjerg and Skippy to protect as well. So there was no point in bringing in Tomiyasu if he's going to be too similar to Tanganga. That's just a like for like. It's a waste of money. We can't exploit other areas and options. I mean, even in the game, this gives us an option. If Tanganga starts against, say, one of the bigger teams and we go behind and we need to push ourselves back into the game, Emerson is that man to come on and attack down the wing. So that's why we've signed him. It's going to take him some time to adapt to the Premier League. Obviously, he's got the language barrier as well. We'll see how he gets on. It's a fairly exciting signing, I would say, for the future. But can definitely do a job now. Otherwise, Barcelona wouldn't have wanted to retain his services. So let's have a look at the transfer window that we've actually had. In terms of players in, there was a few. Did we get a striker over the line? No, we didn't. That's probably the biggest frustration. In terms of midfield, there wasn't a lot we could do because Tanguy Ndombele, we didn't get him out the door. He very much wanted to go. That didn't happen. We couldn't find anyone for him. And on top of that, we would need big money because we brought him in for big money. And on top of that, he's too good a player to let go. I still think there's something in there, and there will be a manager that can bring that out. So let's look at it. Players out the door. Serge Aurier, mutual termination. Apparently he's open to linking up with Arsenal now. Don't know how true that is. We'll see what happens over the coming days. Did well for us in times. Champions League, in the league, cup competitions. Problem is, he's always got that big mistake in him. He has a habit of going forward, getting caught out of position. The Bayern Munich game, he was getting yelled at because he was out of position. You know, the one where we got absolutely hammered, that I don't really want to talk about. But he's done some brilliant things. Like every now and again, he will whip a worldie of a cross in. He's got skill. He's got tenacity. And if he's managed well, he could have been a top right back. And I think that's the problem. He just wasn't managed well. And he does have a little attitude. But he was very, very liked around the Spurs dressing ground. He's a bit of a joker. Any interviews you see with the players, they'll always talk about Serge as a prankster, as a dancer. So he's one of those that really lights the mood up around. So he'll be missed in that sense. So I wish him all the best with his future. And hopefully he ties up a deal soon. And I hope that's not for Arsenal, because I wouldn't want him to go there and then settle in and become a really big player for them. Next one we'll talk about, Cameron Carter-Vickers. He went very late on in the window. So there was worries about him not going because he picked up an injury in the game against Passos de Ferreira, which ruled him out. He recovered from that injury, and he's done an interview basically saying that he was sitting there at home fairly calm, but a little nervous because he knew there was a possibility of him going out the door. Celtic then contacted. He also spoke to Joe Hart, who's gone Celtic, and he told him there's a great atmosphere around there. There was plenty of clubs in for him. Newcastle was one. All the clubs he's previously been at in the Championship were definitely after him. Bournemouth, Luton. The thing was, he was always going to go Celtic, and there's a reason for that. It's European football. It's something that he hasn't actually been able to taste before, other than our Europa Conference League qualifier, to get into the group stages. So going to Celtic, he'll link up with some talented players. Carter Vickers, there's plenty of you out there have been saying you want him out the door. Like, I've always kind of backed him a bit. He's always done a job for us in the last few pre-seasons he's been involved in, but he's never had consistent playing time with our players to gel into our squad. He's been in the Championship and effectively saved Luton from relegation. He did a very good job at Bournemouth. Every manager he's been under for a whole season speaks very highly for him. A talented player. Pochettino also said when he came into the club, he could be a big centre-back in the Premier League. And I still think that's true. He just needs a lot of game time. So he's gone on loan. There is an option to buy. But I thought he didn't have time left on his contract. Now, listening to Alistair Gold, what he believes has happened is every time he goes out on loan, we end up extending his contract by a year, and then there is also an option to then re-extend it. So he's almost like signing new contracts and then extending it. So every time he goes out, we've effectively got another 2 years out of him. So he's made us a lot of money over the year. I say a lot of money. He's made us money over the years in his loan fees. So he's done his job in that sense, and he's a good player as well. Maybe one day he'll get his chance, maybe he won't. But if he does well at Celtic, expect them to buy him, or at least expect a few clubs to be interested in him come the end of the season. The next player, Joe Hart, out the door. Only 1 year at Spurs. Under Mourinho, he became our number 2, which meant Gazzaniga then went out on loan. Ended up having his contract left at the end of his contract. Didn't get an extension. Joe Hart has done an interview with Michael Richards about his journey over the last few years. It's a bit harsh what happened. Essentially, Nuno coming to him and he was saying Nuno didn't really speak to him. They had one conversation, and that was Nuno basically saying, you will not kick a ball for Tottenham. Which is a bit sad that he didn't get a chance. I don't understand the ins and outs. Only Nuno will. But he's gone. He was a big guy in the dressing room, so he's a loss in that sense. But playing time, he wasn't going to get a lot anyway. Next player out, Eric Lamela, went for 25 million. He went, and we gave 25 million for Hill in return. So that's an out with an in. Lamela, heart on his sleeve, always put the energy in for us. Unfortunately, injuries marred his time at Spurs. We're never going to forget the Rabona. We're never going to forget the other Rabona. 2 of them, a world-class one from outside the box in European competition, then obviously one against Arsenal, which unfortunately the game didn't end well, did it? It wasn't the win we were looking for. So yeah, he's gone to Sevilla and he's doing quite well so far. Hill has come in the other way. He's a player that looks a bit ropey in terms of positioning, but that's something they will work on. He's a little slight in frame, which is not too much of a problem because it means he's got a low centre of gravity. He just might get knocked off the ball a bit more than we want him to, but certainly looks an exciting one for the future. Then we had Galini come in on loan with an option to buy, which becomes an obligation to buy once he's played a certain amount of games for Spurs. Expect him to probably get somewhere near that, if not complete that in European competition and cup competitions this season. He's certainly one for the future. When Nuno was pressed about Lloris as to whether he's going to get an extension come the end of the season, didn't answer it, ghosted it and went around it, was just talking about how much of a good player he is and 300 appearances, blah, 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 blah. So expect Lloris to be going at the end of the season unless something drastic happens, and Galini to be the man that is brought to come in to fill those shoes. Another in, Christian Romero, Serie A Defender of the Year, Copa America winner with Argentina alongside our boy Giovanni Lo Celso. That is another one. It's a loan deal, but we are 100% buying him. It's just a loan for this season, and that just comes down to the fact that Atalanta have got him in, and he can't transfer to 2 clubs essentially in the same window. So that is why that has happened. So far, still recovering from an injury. He hasn't felt comfortable in any of the games. Good on the ball, looks okay. Had a couple of cagey moments in his first game against Paços de Ferreira. It's expected. He's still coming to terms with football, playing in our system with our other players. Expect him to be a big man eventually. Sarr. We have brought in Sarr from Metz. He's gone straight back out on loan, very much like Jack Clark did. Looks a massive, massive talent. Many clubs wanted him. Paratici's spoken about him, saying he's very much an exciting talent for the future. Lots of people have been looking at him. The best thing for him right now is to stay exactly where he is, plying his trade where he's going to get regular game time. Very versatile as well in his most recent game. Even though he's a central midfielder, he's played out on the left, showed his versatility, had more touches than anyone else in the game. Passing lacked a bit, but that's probably because he was taking more risks with dangerous passes, trying to get them through to the attack. So look out for this guy. Another out, Danny Rose, was our longest serving player. We brought him in from next to nothing from Leeds United. I think it was like $1 million. Obviously on his debut, smashed a goal against Arsenal, will go down in history. Had rocky moments. In and out the squad. Pochettino turned him into an England international. Walker on the other side. They were definitely the best fullbacks at one point in Europe, if not the world, as a two. Injuries and stuff kind of held him back. A little battle with Ben Davies. Very outspoken, but passionate. Always plays with his heart on his sleeve. Was probably one of the most fouled players in the Premier League at one point, won us loads of free kicks. Loved his commitment. He's gone to Watford. I wish him all the best. Finally got to say goodbye to us when he was an unused substitute against us in the Premier League this season. Next one out the door, Gazzaniga. Did a job for us when Larissa picked up an injury, came in, had a couple of ropey moments, I know, but he had some good moments as well. Was never, ever going to be our number one goalkeeper. That was evident just from the way he was playing, but certainly did a job as our number two. He then got let go at the end of his contract. He's now at Fulham. Alfie Whiteman has gone out on loan to the Swedish side. Degerfors, or my writing's not very good on that one, but I've pronounced it before in a previous video and probably got it wrong then. But yep, he's out on loan. He's finally started his first game. It was a 2-0 defeat, but he looked good in pre-season, so wish him all the best. Expect a better goalkeeper to come back from that. Toby obviously left us out the door. He went to Qatar, probably spend a couple of years there, then he'll be off to Belgium or Holland to raise his kids the way he wants. Juan Feith, he went out the door after a successful loan spell with Villarreal. They got him for an absolute snippet of 15 million after his versatile season where he won the Europa League, got a good finish in Spain, played a lot of game time for them, right back, centre back, defensive mid, very versatile. It's probably one that we've missed out on. We should have put a bigger fee in there to maybe ward them off, or at least made an effort to keep him, and then we wouldn't have been looking for a right back right now. But we've got one in the door, so who cares? Sissoko, I mean, about time he went. We brought him in for big money, struggled to start with, then found his place in with Pochettino, was very helpful on our way to the Champions League final. Unlucky to have that handball given against him, where I still say to this day, Mane knew exactly what he's doing, kicked it against him. Don't believe that it should have been a penalty because his arm was already there, so you can't say unnatural position. His arm was already out, but whatever. Not that sour over it. But yeah, he's gone and we got to say goodbye to him, where Skippy essentially won the battle against him. Who else? Parrott went out the door on loan to MK Dons. So far there, he's got 2 goals and an assist in 4 games, I believe. Wasn't that impactful in the last game, but still managed the assist. Atete, he's gone on loan to Northampton. And then Bowden is on loan at Oldham Athletic. And then Sonny, obviously, he signed a new 4-year deal. He's now one of the oldest players at the club, which he's spoken about in a recent interview. But, you know, still only at, 29. Fantastic player. I'm surprised teams haven't come in for him. I'm very glad they haven't. And then, obviously, we managed to keep Harry Kane. So that essentially is our transfer window. Players we missed out on that we'll be disappointed at. Lautaro Martinez from Inter Milan. It looked like that was all agreed. 60 million. And then obviously Lukaku was sold to Chelsea for a bigger fee. They'd already lost Hakimi as well, which meant they didn't need to sell anyone else. It put them in a financially strong position again, and that's why that didn't go through. They couldn't afford to lose Lukaku and Martinez in one window. Dusan Vlahovic, we went back and forward constantly over that one. I think they just wanted a bit more money than we were prepared to pay. And then with Kane staying as well, and the fact that the players that we've sold or let go, it's just basically been wage bill back. Everybody went for small fees. The most we got was Feith for the 15 million. So it's not massive money in the door. Could we afford to splash out? Maybe. Was it worth the risk? I don't know. Tomiyasu, as we spoke about, that was purely because we needed something different to Tanganga, and Tomiyasu just didn't offer that. Adama Traore, this is one that was going back and forth, back and forth. Wolves didn't want to sell him, which is why they were quoting 50 million. We weren't prepared to pay it. We wanted to do a loan and then buy him afterwards, and no doubt that was going to be over instalments. Watford wanted the money and we weren't going to give it to them, so they just priced us out of the move. And then Jack Clarke, he's somebody that we wanted to go out on loan. There were clubs that were very much interested in him. However, Clarke has decided once again, like he did under Mourinho, he wants to stay and fight for his place. So I wouldn't be surprised if, just like in the Mourinho season, if he doesn't get any game time or consistent game time, at least in the European football and the Cups, then he will push for a January move. Whether that'll be a loan or permanent, who knows. And then a little transfer link that's already popped up. So the window is just closed and we're already talking about January transfer windows. Andrea Belotti is the man that we're talking about. He's a player that Tottenham are being linked with. It's possible to bring him in. His contract's going to run down. They're not going to want to lose him for free when he's got 1 year left. So that is somebody to look out for and see what happens in January. But that is it. That is your roundup of our transfer window. Was it a success? I think yes, because we filled in some key areas. We got some of the players out the club that we needed to go. We got a lot of money off the wage bill, which is very, very, very important. Did we bring in everyone we wanted? I'm not sure. We've brought in a decent chunk of youngsters, so the future is looking bright. We got some players out on loan that need minutes. We managed to retain players. We managed to get contracts signed. So as a whole, it's a success. Is it what we wanted? No, because mainly we would have liked one more creative midfielder to come in, and we would have loved for I don't want to say backup striker, I want to say second striker, because I still don't think Sonny's the man to fill in that gap. I think he can play next to Kane, but I think when Kane's not there, even though Sonny may score or get assist, it's not quite convincing. So that's your roundup. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Was it a successful transfer window? Let me know, guys, okay? Thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Stay safe, and as always, come on you Spurs.